Another responsibility of the operations division is administration. It's dealing with complaints. Anytime we get a complaint from a citizen, whether it's on a call or just a general complaint about something, we have to follow up and respond to those things and document them. We are also represent our district in the Zone 4 Operations Committee. So we deal with things like response issues, run cards, strike team rotations, those type of things. Interdepartmental liaison, so if there's any issues between our department and other departments, we deal with those. Operational issues, whether it's policies, procedures, move-ups, those type of things. And then the Heartland Communications Facility Authority, or better known as dispatch, that's also the way we maintain that relationship. Also, communications is a big part of the administrative portion of operations, which is just letting people know on a day-to-day basis what's happening in the operations division and making sure people are up to date with things that are happening in the department and things they need to be aware of. And that is a very time-consuming but very important function. And then the last thing would be compliance. We have Cal OSHA regulations we have to comply with, NFPA standards. We also have the Air Pollution Control District and other agencies that we have to make sure that we're in compliance for in order to be in compliance with the law and in order to avoid fines. Recently we were fined on several items related to generator maintenance and record keeping because we didn't have a policy in place for how that should be done, how the records should be kept. And that's one thing that we're working on right now with Captain Stein, who's actually doing it on a off-duty overtime basis in order to write those policies and take care of all those issues so that we are in compliance with the law. It's something that's difficult to get to with all the other responsibilities for the operations division chief. The budget. Every year, operations has about, I guess it's about 10% of the budget that we are responsible for. So that's developing that budget, making sure all the budgets from the different people in charge of programs get into the operations division. I'm also tracking the operations expenses on a pretty much a daily basis. Anytime any invoice comes in from any type of repair, purchase, or maintenance agreement, I'm tracking those in subcategories so that I know exactly where the money's being spent in the operations division and how we're doing against our where we're at in the budget year. Also, one of the things that's really helping the bottom line on the budget is we've got a lot of workforce initiated minor repairs, which means that the folks in the stations, rather than always calling out a vendor or repair person for everything, we're doing a lot of that work just with the expertise and the knowledge and the work of the people on the floor. So they've got some people doing a great job on doing those minor repairs ourselves and saving the district some money. Another thing we're working on is our workforce initiated energy conservation, where people have been real good about shutting off the lights, shutting off the TVs and things when they're out of the stations in order to conserve energy. And I'd like to encourage everybody to continue to do that we don't waste energy, but we treat it like we would our own home, and people have been very good about that. Some of the workload impacts to the operations division in recent months with the consolidation. One is we've got a 28% increase in personnel with the East County Fire District consolidating with us. We've also got a 25% increase in facilities with the addition of stations 18 and 19, and then we've got a 33% increase in the fleet. East County had quite a few pieces of apparatus, and we've added those to the fleet maintenance program. We've also got an increased span of control for the battalion chiefs. We went from a span of control at 7-to-1, which is already pushing the limits of a realistic span of control, to 9-to-1. So the optimum industry standard would be 5-to-1 in ICS. So we've exceeded that by quite a bit. In the BCs, with the large geographical area we cover and the large amount of stations, it's difficult to make sure we've got all those people getting their needs met and being contacted on a regular basis by their battalion chiefs. We also have the 40-hour battalion chief, which was originally planned out of the East County budget, that was suspended due to budget impacts, and then the administrative captain position, or the training captain position, has also been cut due to budget cuts. So the support for staff, one that was anticipated and the other one that was actually there, are now no longer there. So some of the ways we're trying to mitigate against the large areas of responsibility and the impacts that we have from the increased size of our district is through technology. We're trying to use databases through the fire admin program, through the use of the RTA software, and also things we do like in fire prevention with CodePal, that we're trying to build databases that are going to help us analyze data and make informed decisions based on the data. Also the First Watch program, where we can look at our response times and see how we're doing on a daily basis. One thing that does for the BCs in the past, when we look at response time data normally at the end of the year when we got our year-end report from Heartland, and then we would have to take that data, download it into an Excel file, and manipulate it around in order to get out numbers that had some meaning. But the problem was we were looking at our out-of-shoot times on our response times, but a year later, after things have already happened, it's difficult to make corrections when you're looking at such a large period of time. What we can do now on a daily basis is pull up our last 24 hours of how we did on prep times for calls and response times for incidents, and if there is a issue, whether it's an MDC problem, whether it's a radio problem, an alerting problem, or just a crew maybe that needs a reminder about something, we can take care of those things right away and make sure we correct those things. Again, data analysis, I just kind of talked about that, looking at our cost and doing things and making decisions about what apparatus to buy, those type of things, without spending hours and hours sifting through papers. It allows us to be more efficient. We use our time better. It allows us to produce an invoice if we have an outside department that's getting their apparatus service. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes to put together an invoice by hand, looking through all of the codes and things we have to enter, or we can do it in about 20 seconds using the RTA software. And we're also working on reducing out of service time by doing the video teleconferencing and looking at training programs like WebEx or something similar, to where we can train people on computer related issues via the internet, having them sitting in their stations rather than bringing everybody down to headquarters and taking them out of service and all of those impacts.